Now, if you're sitting there watching us with some flab or out of shape, and isn't everybody, you're in for either a treat or a very humiliating experience, because with me is the author of this book, whose picture graces the cover, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who has devoted his life and is devoting your life, I guess, Arnold, to building your body to what, perfection?
Yeah, I started when I was 15 years old, and my goal was to be Mr. Universe, or what you call the best built man, or most muscular man in the world. And I spent a lot of time on it to do it, and I won the title when I was 20, and won it a few more times, and then turned professional and started making a living out of it.
Now, a lot of people are disappointed, and I'm disappointed, that you're not going to take your jacket or shirt off. Now, tell us why.
The reason for that is I found out in the last few years that I can promote the idea of weight training for fitness and for health reasons in America much better by talking about it and by explaining what the whole thing is about the way we are doing now, rather than going in front of a camera and posing. Because if people see the muscles and so, they think that this is what bodybuilding is all about, and they misunderstand the whole point. Bodybuilding only has the competitive side of bodybuilding has to do with what I did, but then there's this other 95% of the people who are doing weight training like you do it for fitness and for health reasons, not to be Mr. Universe, but rather just to feel good, and to feel good for a long period of time.
Okay, now when you're in active competition, you work out every day?
I work at 6 days a week for around 4 hours each time, and now, of course, since I'm not competing anymore, I work out 3 to 4 times a week for an hour.
Have you shrunk? Are your muscles
Yes,
smaller?
definitely, and I did on purpose go on a weight reducing program, which means that I don't want to carry this 240 pounds around anymore. What I did want to do is come down in proportions with the body and weigh around 215 pounds, because for my acting career that I'm into now, it's much better being lighter rather than that muscular, you know, that big.
I'm going to see if we can get some pictures. We can at least show you Arnold on paper. And you can kind of fantasize perhaps what's there, but does that come across? Now these are some of your...
Yeah, this picture was taken in a photo studio right after a competition, and it was taken in 1975. These are all different poses that you see that shows the body being perfectly developed, which means that the back, the front, the side, the legs, upper body. The most important thing in bodybuilding is, of course, you know, that you have the right proportions, symmetry, muscularity, muscle separations, and the size of the muscles.
Now, these pictures here, is this as large as your muscles could be developed?
Yeah, well, if I would have continued working out, I think they could have gotten bigger,
Really?
But I mean, I had no interest anymore. The body can go to an extent as much as the mind can conceive it, you know, and my mind was ready to go even further than that, and so I know that the body could have followed through with it. Definitely.
What would happen if you keep going?
Well, you can keep going, and your muscle will just slowly get bigger, bigger, and bigger. It always depends then what you call being in proportion. I think for me, the best weight was 230 to 240 pounds without looking, you know, really too stocky. The problem sometimes with bodybuilders is that they gain too much weight for their height. I think it's important to keep the whole thing in proportion.
Now, you just came from a bookstore, which was a very upsetting experience for you, wasn't it? I could tell
It was a fantastic experience for me. It was an upsetting experience for the bookstore owner, because they
tore the bookstore up.
It was this enormous invasion. You know, they stormed the bookstore. There were like 1,000 people out there at B. Dalton bookstore, and they stormed in. They kicked down all the shelves. There were 1,000 books lying on the floor, just torn up and everything. And I think it was their fault, because Simon & Schuster alarms every bookstore that there's an enormous crowd when I have this book autographing sessions, because I have a lot of fans across the country, and they cannot believe it. So they think they can handle it themselves. Well, the guy that they experienced something.
Why do you think you've become so popular with people?
Well, number one, what happened is there's a lot of people getting into this weight training for health and fitness. Another area is that a lot of kids look up to me like kind of the second father image. And so, you know, they can relate to that size, big size and muscles, and this kind of bigger than life kind of an image. That's why Star Wars and all those films are so popular right now. And I almost fall into that category. So those kids, you know, look up to me. So you see, then of course the female audience would 8 or 10 years ago, women were maybe kind of turned off to muscle men or to muscles. Now it turned 180 degrees around, and you see almost 70% of females there at the bookstore or wherever I go, you know, pulling my hair and kissing and doing this and that, handing it over the phone number. I mean, it has been an incredible turnaround.
How do you feel about that?
Well, the fact of the matter is that we all like to be loved, wanted, needed, and feel special in an artificial way or in a real way, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think it gives you a certain kind of a satisfaction as long as you don't take it serious and think that those people all love me for Arnold. I mean, they love me because I'm Mr. Universe, or the image that I have created through the media and so on, you know. But I see the difference there, of course. You know?
Well, I would think you would also begin to feel almost like a freak, that some people cart you out and display you and show you and then want you to go back and be quiet. And of course you have changed that image because you're a very articulate guy and you take it very seriously.
Right.
But I think a lot of people want to trot you in and out like a display.
They do that, yeah. The only difference is that they put me on display, and then when they put me back, I'm not quiet.
You don't let them put you back.
That's right.
Are you ashamed of your body at all? I mean, you don't show it. How do you deal with that?
No, I'm not at all. I'm very proud of my body, and
Yeah.
I think that because of bodybuilding, I created a great self-image of myself, and I gained a lot of self-confidence because of developing the body, and it's one of the great psychological advantages that one gets out of weight training and sports, period. You know, it's not only the physical change that is happening to one, but also psychologically and the confidence and so on.
But you were never a 98-pound weakling.
Well, I'm sure I weighed one time 98 pounds on the way up,
yeah.
but I was never a weakling. No, I was very athletic always.
You never kicked a chair and said, I'm going to send in to Charles.
No sand. We
Yeah.
have no sand in Austria and no beaches, so I had never the chance of having sand kicked in my face. You know?
Right, right. Arnold Schwarzenegger, thank you very much. I hope our audience appreciates being one of the first in America not to see your muscles and just hear you talk. We'll leave it to you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.